09:59 hours, the South Tower of the World Trade Center collapses. At 10:03, United Airlines Flight 93 crashes into a field in Pennsylvania. At 10:28 hours, the North Tower of the World Trade Center collapses. On September the 11th, 2001, we, the United States of America, lost 2,794 fellow Americans, all of whom were mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles. And of these 2,794, 23 were officers of the NYPD, 37 were officers of the Port Authority Police, 8 were EMTs and paramedics, and last but certainly not least, 343 brothers and sisters of the FDNY.
Dispatch to FDNY, dispatch to NYPD, dispatch to New York Port Authority. May we never forget you and always honor and cherish your memory. Columbia County Dispatch clear.
Let's pray. Lord, I thank you for this day you've given us, Father. We could just gather together in this nice, cool weather, Lord, and remember the ultimate sacrifice that was paid on this day 24 years ago, Father. I pray you would continue to comfort and give peace to those families that were impacted, Lord, and to this country as a whole. Lord, as we saw yesterday, this country is still in a lot of turmoil and trouble, Lord. And I pray that you would just put a peace on this place, Lord, revive us as a whole, Father, and give us all the spirit that we found on September the 12th of 2001, that we were united as a country, despite political party, despite wherever we may stand, Lord, we were Americans above all. And Lord, I pray you would just restore that spirit back to this country, Father, and unite us once again. Lord, I thank you and I praise you for everything you've done for us and what you will do in the days ahead. And we pray all of this in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
So just real quick before we get down to the stair cloud, I just want everybody to remember that today when we do this is about celebrating the lives of everyone that was lost and honoring those that paid that sacrifice. I was talking before the stair climb today, and the brotherhood, no matter what service you're in, goes across this nation. And it doesn't matter where you work, what department, what uniform you wear, the brotherhood is strong in this service. And that is what the stair climb is about today, is that brotherhood and coming together and that common goal of serving the citizens. And it comes at a cost, and it is hard. And that's what this climb is going to be about today. It's going to be tough, it's going to be hard, and you're going to sweat, and you're going to really put the work in. But that's what this job is. And it doesn't matter where you're at. You're all going to feel the same thing. It doesn't matter what uniform or department. We share that across this nation. And that's what's really special about this day is we get to sit back and remember why we wear this uniform, why we serve the citizens. So I encourage everyone to stick around, participate, watch it, because it's why we want to do it. We really enjoy coming together and doing something hard and to honor those. So I thank you for coming out today. For the stair climb, we'll give you about 15-20 minutes for those that need to change. Get ready. I will brief you in the parking deck on the first floor before we start. And I encourage you to stick around, watch it if you can, and definitely participate. Thank you. Y'all are dismissed.
So again, folks, we are live right now in Columbia County as they're having a 9/11 remembrance ceremony, and firefighters, first responders there are going to climb 55 flights of stairs to simulate the 110 flights in the World Trade Center. So they're getting things set up and ready for that, and we will take a quick 3-minute break, and when we come back, hopefully they should be about ready to start that climb. So we'll be back in just a couple minutes. Welcome back here, folks. We are taking another live look right now in Columbia County this morning as firefighters, first responders are getting ready to climb 55 flights of stairs to commemorate the World Trade Center terror attacks, the simulate the 110 flights of stairs that first responders had to climb that day on 9/11/2001. 24 years ago, 4 planes were hijacked. 2 flew into the World Trade Centers, as we know. Another one went into the Pentagon, and then a 4th went down in a field in western Pennsylvania after some passengers on that flight recognized what was going on and fought back and were able to get that flight down away from its intended original target. As it's 8:18 here this morning, we're coming up on about a half hour until the anniversary of the exact time the North Tower was struck. That was 8:46. The South Tower about 15 minutes later at 9:03. The Pentagon at 9:37, and then the South Tower collapsed at 9:59. The Shanksville Park crash that I mentioned was at 10:07, and the North Tower collapsed at 10:28. This all happened in the span of about 2 hours. We ran a story about it this morning, and we read that about a third of Americans weren't even born yet when 9/11 happened. It's kind of crazy to think about what's a core memory for so many people a little bit older than me. I was 4 when it happened. I'm from New Jersey, so I have some vague memories of it, but not as vivid, obviously, as the generation above me. I know my parents remember it well, and grandparents, and I'm sure a lot of people watching do too. So a third of Americans weren't even born yet when 9/11 happened. So it's important to have days like these to remember and to educate people on exactly what happened and the American response. And in today's day and age, when we see this extreme division in our country, take a look at what happened yesterday with Charlie Kirk. This was a moment where America really came together and fought back against the terror attacks. More than 2,500, I think the number is 2,700 and plus people died that day. And in the days and years following, we ran another story this morning about a gentleman who needed a double lung transplant just to live. He was a first responder, and he was there every day for 19 months helping out in the aftermath of the World Trade Centers being attacked. So this is something that has effects to this day. People still dealing with different illnesses, and we know that thousands of people were diagnosed with cancer after this. We are waiting on... There's your Cameron Jacobs. He's standing by live. He's actually going to be doing a little bit of this climb to show us what some of these firefighters and other first responders are doing today. But there were a couple brief moments before they got started. There was a prayer. There were just a couple words from some first responders, and they rang bells and had an all call there on the dispatch on the intercom, and then they ran some fire sirens as well. So a nice tribute there. They do this every year. I know they've done this for at least the last few years. I don't know if we have a exact number of years they've been doing this. But anyway, this is to honor the 343 firefighters who died trying to save others on 9/11. And that is just a small fraction of the number of people who were killed. I'm sure we've all seen the videos by this point. So even if you weren't born, or even if you weren't directly impacted by it, chances are the weight of the day still feels pretty heavy. So again, Cameron Jacobs getting set up right now to do a little bit of that climb. I keep checking down. We're talking back and forth right now to make sure we get this all squared away. But as we take a look, a big American flag hanging there over Columbia County near the Performing Arts Center in Evans. And the climb is expected to start about another 15 minutes or so, according to Cameron. So probably around that same time of the exact moment the North Tower was hit at 8:46. I know they were giving the firefighters a chance to change out of their gear if they wanted to, or change into their gear. I know that's a popular thing to do, is to do this stair climb in full gear to simulate exactly what it was like on 9/11. And we see that not just with this, but with some other things as well. The Tunnel to Towers 5K that happened last weekend at AU and happens every year. We see firefighters do that in their full gear as well. It just puts a little perspective on exactly what those first responders were going through back in 2001. So again, folks, if you are just tuning in here or missed exactly what's going on, we're taking a live look right now at Columbia County, where they're having a 9/11 remembrance ceremony, and they are about to do a climb of the staircase there. They do this every year, and this is to honor the 343 firefighters who died in 9/11. So they're taking a quick break to get everybody changed and ready to go, and then once they are ready, they will start that climb. 55 flights, symbolic of the 110 flights that they had to climb on 9/11. 55 up, 55 down, 110. But yeah, number of events going on around the CSRA, and we are going to have some coverage for you from a few of them. Let me pull up my schedule of events here. All right, so we've got this event happening right now, and it's going to continue on for a little bit. There's another event at 9:55 at Greenbrier High School. We are going to have that one streamed live for you, and then we will have another update from this event in our Fastcast at 10:45. I know there's one at Fort Gordon as well, so if you live down in the Fort Gordon area, and you hear some cannon fire, that is from their 9/11 Remembrance ceremony. Major General Ryan Janovich is expected to speak. That is at 8:30, I believe, this morning. Obviously, we're not out there. We are here, so we will have this one for you. And again, whenever they start climbing, Cameron is going to join them for at least the first little bit, and we will bring that to you live. It looks like we are about to get Cameron called in here in just a second. And once we do, we'll get a live update from him on exactly what was talked about. And then they will get started on that climb here in just a minute. Give me 1 second here, folks, as we get this squared away. All right, folks, we've got your Cameron Jacobs here standing by live at Columbia County for us at this 9/11 Remembrance ceremony. So, Cameron, we heard a couple speakers up there, and we know there's a little bit of downtime before they start that climb. Give us the rundown of how things are going.
Yes, Nick, we just got finished with the memorial event as well as the 10-bell salute, and we heard the chatter from the firefighters' lines on the day of 9/11. We also heard some sirens and lots of prayers. Definitely the message of remembering what happened on that day, remembering where you were at, and keeping those who lost their lives still in our hearts and still in our minds. Just a few minutes ago, they announced that they're going to begin the climb. They're going to be using the parking deck here. Right now, people are getting geared up. They're getting ready to go. There are firefighters that are here. There are students that are here. And just regular people are getting ready to go. They're going to be climbing with the firefighters. The firefighters will be climbing in full gear. Everybody else is just going to be making the climb with them, showing support and showing what people are going to be, what the firefighters had to go through on this day back 24 years ago.
Yeah, Cameron, we also often hear this described as a watershed moment, and you mentioned this. It's a where were you when moment. So I want to ask you, where were you? Do you remember when 9/11 happened?
Yes, so I was actually in 8th grade in my homeroom class for Ms. Schamberger. It was a very big day for me at that point in time because before 9/11 happened, it was our very first night football game. So we were all excited about that. And then where I was at up in north central Illinois, it was right around 7:30 our time. It was 8:30 here. So when I first got into school, my teacher was actually already watching the news there, and we saw that there was a tower that was on fire. We actually witnessed the second plane hit the tower. It wasn't too long after that, my entire school was taken, and we were all put in the library. We were all glued to the TV. We all were told how important that this was happening. And then one of the most memorable moments, though, I grew up in a very small town. As I was coming home later on that night, was seeing all the people lined up at the gas stations, the grocery stores, the foods were off the shelves. It was a very trying time. It was a very confusing time for myself being young, because we knew what was happening, but we didn't quite understand what was going on. As we grew up in life, we knew what the events that happened from there. But I personally will never ever forget where I was at on 9/11.
Yeah, it's always interesting to hear, people's takes on it, especially like you said, being in Illinois, not even really being that close to it. And I was sharing earlier, for me, I was 4 when it happened, so I don't have like the vivid memories of it like a lot of people do. But I grew up in New Jersey, about an hour and a half from the city, and so you either knew somebody or you knew somebody who was directly impacted. And the spotty memories I have, I know I was off. I was in preschool, but I was off that day. We didn't have school on Tuesdays, and my mom came into the living room on the phone, and she was a little bit distressed. And I remember turning the TV to the news, and I just remember seeing the tower come down, and that stuck with me. Even at 4 years old, we used to go to Connecticut a lot when I was a kid, and crossing over into the bridge into New York. We could see the Twin Towers, and I remember my mom used to point them out. So that was kind of one of those things one of those memories. You don't have a lot from those ages, but it just sticks with you. And all these years later, oh man, I remember we were just talking about the 10-year anniversary of 9/11, and all of a sudden here we are 24 years since that terror attack, and a third of Americans weren't even alive when the planes hit the tower. And so, Cameron, did they talk at all about the importance of remembrance today and trying to educate the younger generation on what happened and why it matters?
Yes, Nick, and in fact, that was one of the first things that the speakers talked about, was to just never forget, to always have the brave men and women who, while everybody else was running out, they were running in. Those very first responders, some of those firefighters not making it out, some of those firefighters not even making it up to the top where those victims needed their help. They stayed in, they stayed long hours. As we remember, Nick, it wasn't done once the towers fell. There was weeks of cleanup after that, and there's so many people that had family members. So many people tragically lost their lives. It took a very long time for people to find out who was in, who wasn't in. It was just a very, very tragic time for that. So the very first speaker today was just really hammering home what it means to remember that and to keep their memories alive.
Yeah, and you mentioned cleanup went well beyond just 9/11/2001. We ran a story this morning about a gentleman who was NYPD who was there for 19 months every day after the towers fell, clearing rubble, trying to help people, breathing in all that dust, and he needed a double lung transplant a year ago just to save his life. So these first responders still dealing with these effects years after. We know cancer is a big thing that came from this, and all the people that inhaled all the smoke dealing with these effects. And so beyond just the towers falling and the planes crashing, this had an impact on so many people for so many years and continues to this day. And so great to have events like this to remember and to honor those people. Again, 343 firefighters died that day. I mean, you think about it, my high school graduating class was 400, right? So an entire class of people essentially wiped out there, and so many more injured, and the trauma that they face that isn't a physical injury that can't be overlooked as well. So just such a nasty, devastating day, tragic event taking place, and it's just every year it doesn't really get any easier. The weight of it still sits on you. So, Cameron, how are they looking about getting ready for the climb here? I know you were probably going to take part in at least a little bit of it and kind of walk us through it.
Yes, Nick. So what I can see through the parking deck right now, it does appear that people are finally getting ready. In order to be able to do this live, I'm going to have to step away from you for just a little bit, reset, situate the camera. That way we can get some video for our later shows, as well as I'll be able to go live with you guys as we make the climb up ourselves.
All right, well, why don't you go ahead and do that? We'll take a 3-minute break, and when we come back, we will hopefully be live with you. If not, I'll stall for a minute, and then we'll be live with you. So, again, folks, we'll be back in 3 minutes, and Cameron will be starting that climb. Welcome back here, folks. We are taking a live look right now in Columbia County, where they are just wrapping up the speaking portion of a 9/11 remembrance ceremony. Your Cameron Jacobs was just live out there for us this morning. He is going to actually start the climb with the first responders as they climb 55 flights of stairs to simulate the 110 flights of stairs that first responders and other firefighters and police, whatever, had to climb that day at the World Trade Center 24 years ago. As we stepped away from that shot, let me regroup here. But again, we're just waiting on Cameron to get ready there. And then once he's ready, we'll take him live as he starts up with that stair climb a little bit with some of those first responders. 343 firefighters died that day in the World Trade Center. We know 4 planes were hijacked by terrorists. 2 crashed into the World Trade Center in Manhattan, 1 crashed into the Pentagon, and then 1 into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, after a group of passengers realized what was going on, realized they had been hijacked, and fought back against their hijackers, saving who knows how many people from another terrorist strike. So, sounds like Cameron just called back in, so we'll have him live in just a minute, doing part of that climb, and once he's up, we will take that. But we are coming up actually on the exact time that the first tower was struck. 10 minutes from now, 8:46 is the exact time the North Tower was struck. 17 minutes later, the South Tower was struck at 9:03. 34 minutes later, the Pentagon was struck at 9:37. 22 minutes later, that South Tower collapsed at 9:59. 8 minutes later was that flight in Pennsylvania that I had mentioned. And then 21 minutes later, the North Tower collapsed at 10:28. So this whole thing happened in about an hour and 45 minutes, but that impact has been felt for years, decades, in the decades since then. All right, looks like we may have Cameron coming up here in just a second. Let me get this situated. All right, Cameron, if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. All right, good deal. So we've got Cameron live now again, this time inside the parking garage as they are getting ready to start that climb. So Cameron, take it away. Don't know if his microphone's on yet. Cameron, if you want to check that real quick before we come back to you. But we are taking a look right now as they are just about to get started. Everybody geared up. That was what we were waiting on as all these firefighters put on their gear. There you go, Cameron. I got you now. All right. Take it away, my friend.
Okay, so as I was saying, I'm sorry about that technical difficulties, Nick. So as you can see, the firefighters here are geared up the same way that those brave men and women were that rushed into the towers just 24 years ago. So they're set up here. They're going to be making the climb. I believe that they're going to be the ones going first, and then we're going to see all the people that wanted to join in on the climb with them. There's 2 stairwells they're going to be doing this on. There's going to be this main stairwell right here, and then there's another stairwell just on the other side. So as of right now, everybody's just sitting here waiting, and then we're going to do the climb with them as well. So we're just kind of hanging out, Nick, just hanging out, waiting for everybody to get ready. We got plenty of firefighters here. I want to say there's probably about 50 men and women that are geared up and ready to go. There are families that are here. It talks about everybody, what it means to them to be doing this has been the chatter so far here. And looks like they're getting ready they're starting to do the climb, Nick.
All right, there we go. A powerful symbolic gesture here. This is a very common thing for people to do on 9/11. As these first responders are now climbing, again, 55 flights of stairs, so I'm assuming they may be going up one side, down the other side, try to keep the flow going nicely here. And we'll kind of watch along here as Cameron, I think, is maybe going to go up at least a couple with him. I don't know if he's going to do all 110, but at least a couple just to show you what the experience is like. What do you think, Cameron?
I'm going to do as many as I can do, Nick. Looks like we're geared up, getting ready to walk and see if I can't actually talk to some of these guys as we're getting ready. Probably heard early on in this workout that's going on with this. So we just got done with the first flight.
Yeah, would be great to hear from some of these firefighters because we talked about this when Cameron and I chatted about 15 minutes ago, and a lot of these firefighters maybe were not even born or too young to really remember 9/11. We know a third of Americans weren't even born yet when 9/11 happened. So there's a whole generation of people. I was only 4 and I'm 28 now. So there's a whole generation my age and younger of people who really don't remember 9/11 like that. So that's why events like this are so important. So Cameron, if you've got any first responders there that want to talk to you about what this means to them, that's always real powerful stuff to hear.
Yeah. Let me see here real quick as we get ready to make this first turn here, Nick.
You're doing a great job, Steve.
There you go. So what does this mean to you to be able to do this climb?
This is about the best thing we can do to remember the work that those guys put in. It's just really special so that we don't ever forget what happened that day.
Now, where were you at on this day?
I was in Pensacola, Florida at my grandparents' house on vacation, actually.
What were you doing? Do you remember what you were doing during this time?
Well, I was about 8 years old, so I was just playing, but I remember, of course, the TV was on, and my parents and grandparents were kind of glued to it. I didn't really fully understand what was happening, obviously, at the time, but over the years, as I got into the fire service, it made a lot more sense at the magnitude of what it was.
What does it mean to you personally to be here, able to be making this trek?
I'm just thankful that I'm able to do this and that I have the greatest job in the world to be able to pay it back to those guys that came before us.
And then what does it mean to you to be able to see your brothers and sisters out here, first responders out here all joining in on it with you?
Well, that's what the public safety world is all about. We suffer together, we live together, and we're just here to serve one another and serve the public.
All righty, Nick. So there we go. What was your name?
My name's Jamie Lewis.
All right, Nick. So we just heard from the first responder, Jamie Lewis, on what it meant to him to be doing this trek. We're on our way back up now for the second time.
And it is going to be many, many stairs coming up for you. And it's crazy again. He was 8 years old when it happened, living in Pensacola, Florida. So far, removed from where the attack happened, and pretty young, too young to understand exactly what was going on, as he said, but still out there doing this. And he said it's the best thing they can do to remember the brave men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice that day. And so it is just cool to see people coming together on a day like today to do this. So Cameron, how you feeling there after that first set? And you're not even in full gear.
No, I'm definitely not in full gear. It definitely puts it into perspective. I'm just out here, I'm just climbing the stairs. They're wearing about probably between 50 and 100 pounds worth of gear, and just fall in single file one by one, making it up. Some are carrying axes, others are just carrying the oxygen tanks. So it really puts everything into perspective, Nick.
Yeah, and this is going to be going on there for quite a while as they climb again 55 flights of stairs to simulate the 110 flights that those first responders had to go up on 9/11 in 2001, 24 years ago today. Kind of incredible to think that it's already been that long. I remember I was a freshman in high school for the 10-year anniversary, and now we're already at 24. So it really has been quite some time since this happened, but for a lot of people, it feels like just yesterday. And I don't know if anybody's ever been up to the 9/11 Memorial up in New York. It is a harrowing reminder of what happened. It's beautiful, but it is deep being up there. Cameron, have you ever been up that way, seen that?
I have not. That's always been one of the things that in my lifetime I definitely want to go and see. I definitely want to play my tribute to the towers. I feel like it's one of those things that, as an American, you should have to go and see. So I'm definitely looking forward to doing that. Definitely going to Ground Zero and paying my respects there, Nick.
Yeah, I've actually never been inside the museum myself, but I have been to the holes in the ground, the fountains that they have there, and they have the names all engraved on the outside. And when I went there the first time, one of the things that really stuck out was they had these flowers on some of the names, and we thought, oh, that's cool. You know, families are coming by and putting flowers on their loved ones' names and remembering them. But all the flowers were the same, which was a little bit suspicious. So we saw a sign that said, if you see a flower, that means it was that person's birthday. And so that was a heavy hit there. And then there are some where it says, you know, a woman's name and her unborn child. You know, the woman was pregnant when she was killed. And so you see stuff like that, and it is heavy, but it's something that if you're up in New York, I highly recommend going to. It's a good reminder of, you know, what happened that day and where we are now. All these years later is now 8:47. We've officially crossed the time when the first tower was struck. That was at 8:46. So exactly 24 years ago, we were just getting word that the first tower had been struck, and in about 15 minutes is the anniversary of when the second tower got struck. So we are right in it now. Exactly 24 years ago, chaos was unfolding, and we didn't have social media like we've got today. So people were learning about things a little bit slower, and everybody was tuning into the TV. Cameron, I know you said you were in 8th grade at the time. Everybody glued to that television. And we watched this unfold live right before our very eyes on our news station. So it's just it's a somber anniversary every year, but it is an important one as well. So let's actually take a little break here. We've got about 3 minutes till we come back, and then we will have some more from this 9/11 Remembrance ceremony in Columbia County. Hey, Mayor. Mayor. Are you want to come up here and talk about 9/11? You don't have to if you're not ready. I'm putting you on the spot. That's fine. I know you're busy. That's all right. Ooh. Welcome back here, folks. We are coming up on 9 o'clock here on a Thursday morning as we are back live now in Columbia County as Cameron Jacobs is there for a 9/11 remembrance ceremony as they walk up and down 55 flights of stairs to simulate the 110 flights of stairs that first responders walked that day. So, Cameron, we saw you on the first responders side, but there aren't just first responders out there. There are everyday people, neighbors among us who are out there as well doing that climb.
Yes, so like you said, we're over here where just the regular people are walking up and down. I believe this is also where some of the firefighters in training are walking up and down. So real quick though, sir, what makes you want to be doing this climb today?
Just be part of the memorial.
What were you doing during 9/11?
I was actually working at an air base in Middle Georgia.
So
I was a reservist at the time, but I was also working as a civilian.
So what was going through your mind when you were witnessing, when you guys realized what was going on during this?
It actually had a personal note for me because my dad was a construction worker, and he had worked the World Trade Center for a year and a half during his construction.
Okay, so with that, I mean, with your dad being around for that and being part of the World Trade Center, what was his reaction when all this was going down?
Well, he had already passed away many years before that, but it had a personal, it was very personal. Plus the fact that these were Americans, mostly that were murdered. That made it all personal.
And then you as a service member, were you getting ready to be called out?
It took about a year and a half before the Air Force finally activated me, but I did eventually get activated.
Okay. Where did you serve, if you don't mind me to? We'll just pause right here for a second. Where did you serve?
Cutter.
Cutter?
Qatar, Cutter.
Oh, okay. So what does it mean to you to be able to be seeing these people out here today?
It means people still care, and that's what counts.
How many flights are you planning on doing today?
I don't know until I collapse, which right now may be in the next 2.
What does it mean to you to be out here yourself out here climbing?
Well, it's to let people know we still care. It's still personal. And yeah, a lot of people still care.
All right, what was your name?
Roy Luke.
Roy Luke, nice to meet you, Roy.
I'm retired from reserves out of Charleston. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your climb.
You too. Take care, sir.
All right, Nick. So just like that, we met somebody who's actually part of the World Trade Center, or at least his father was part of the World Trade Center during this. So a little bit of everybody's out here making this climb.
Yeah, and that's an incredible story, and one of those things that's like even people who aren't right up there in New York or aren't firefighters or didn't have family directly part of it. His father worked on building the World Trade Center, so it's just cool to see the people who come out and support and do these kinds of things. Look at these kids. I mean, these kids weren't around in 2001, and they're still out there doing that. So it's great to see the next generation picking up and learning why this is important and continuing to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice back in 2001. So we are going to wrap up our coverage here this morning. We appreciate you tuning in, folks. Cameron, thank you for the live coverage and those great interviews with the people there this morning. And we will have more on this coming up at 10:45 in our Fastcast. We also have another ceremony at Greenbrier in about an hour, so we'll take you live there too once that one gets started. So thank you for tuning in, folks. And Cameron, keep on climbing. We'll see you in about 2 hours.